How's it going, guys? It's Poetry, and welcome back to the episode of the Dutch Return campaign, Europa Universalis 4. What we are doing right now is just going to war with a few different people. I do want to see if we can get to war with England. Now, France would still defend them, which is very annoying, but I'm going to take a sip of my drink real quick. But no, alright, so what is our plan then? What is our current plan? I would like to go to war with Burgundy as well. Of course, that would also be annoying. It is certainly possible and doable, but there's just a lot of stuff that we have to basically go to war with France for. And I think we should probably do that pretty soon, to be honest. Like, I don't think we should wait too long. Why, also, do we have a claim on this in the first place? I know that we get a claim on the state of Picardy, or whatever, but we don't have one on Picardy province. I wonder if we actually, maybe we lost that from an event. I think if we were to reclaim it, it would actually turn into a permanent claim again. Someone told me that one time, and that's been very useful to know. What other wars do we even want to be doing right now? Because we're doing this one over here. That is working fine. Oh god, those rebels. Brunei, we have to wait a few more years for. Maybe like eating up the Philippines or something. Could be good. Of course, Brunei owns a little bit of that. We'll look around. I actually hate that the Ottomans have a colony here. It is super annoying. Mutapa, that could work. We could probably only need one army there, or yeah, one army there. Should be good. Maybe we, maybe if we prepare for that. I can't speak today. Yo, Lubeck is actually really powerful. Not really powerful, but quite powerful. Yeah, I don't know. There's like not a whole lot of options for us right now, so I think we should. We're kind of just waiting, building up our strength in the East Indies and in colonial land, waiting for an opportunity to attack England. Yeah, we should go to war with England, probably. We should probably just say, screw it. If we have to fight France, we have to fight France. Honestly, but not yet. We'll wait till this war is over. We're gonna have to fight France eventually, so. In any case, welcome back. I do actually, so last episode we were talking about, my sort of like pet passion, like in my free time, one of the things I like to do is listen to a lot of like Catalan music, and I've been trying to learn Catalan, and that's something I talked about last episode a little bit. And I actually had a story that had reminded me of that, and then I never even told the story. I just got off on a tangent talking about Valencian and Alicante, and it's in the history of those two and how they're connected and whatnot. And I never actually got to the part I wanted to talk about. So I suppose I should do that now. Essentially, so there's, so with Catalan and stuff, it has a very distinct sound as compared to Spanish or Italian, or even French. It has a very distinct sound. In some ways, it sounds like a mixture of those. In my opinion, it is like it's similar to Spanish in a lot of ways. It's similar to to Italian in a lot of ways, and I've taken a couple Italian classes, so I know a little bit about that. And then it also sounds a little bit like French, and I know basically nothing about French, but from what I do know, it is a bit similar. And so yeah, so I was like, so so yeah, it is pretty similar to all three of those, but it is different in its own ways as well. And with that being said, there's like a few things that are pretty easy to say, like, oh, this is probably like Catalan if you see this or whatever, or say like, or the other way around, like say like if you were to guess the Catalan word, you just do this and it'd probably be close to right. So for instance, like, I'm not gonna go. This is not gonna turn into a me trying to teach Catalan thing. No, but there are quite a few things that it's like are pretty obvious, and like if you know basic Romance language stuff, then you can probably relate. For instance, like from a Spanish perspective, since that's the first other language that I learned, and the one I know the best besides English, then I relate a lot of stuff to that. So with Spanish, for instance, in Spanish, there's a lot of words that end in O. Most masculine nouns. There's plenty of masculine nouns that don't. There's always exceptions. There's plenty of masculine nouns that end with like E, like presidente, for instance, and whatnot. But pretty much for the most part, they will end with O. And then, you know, sometimes E. Sometimes there is actually some that end with A as well, which is normally the feminine ones end with. However, a lot of times the ones that end with A are because they end with MA. And then, quick little fact, maybe you didn't know this, if you know Spanish or Italian, and it's the same, and Catalan. Quick little trivia fact: if you have a word that ends with MA, it is most likely masculine, and the reason why is because those words come from Greek. So, let's think of some examples. Poema, problema, tema, which is so poem, problem, theme. You can see those words are sort of like, you know, the words you think of when you think of like Greek, you know, Greek people that are like, oh, you know, talking about poems and themes and all stuff, drama, all those words that end with like ma, in Spanish and Italian, pretty much are masculine. There's like one or two exceptions actually, but anyways, so that's interesting. But and that's actually the same in Catalan, as I had kind of mentioned there in the middle of that. But with that being said, though, there is so with the words that end with O, though, which is most of the Catalan or most of Spanish masculine ones, in Catalan they actually don't really have that. It's actually extremely irregular to see a word in Catalan that ends in O. Sometimes there's a whole set of ones that that end with O, but that's because it's an accented O, and there's sort of like an N that's presumed there, or whatever. But like for the most part, they actually don't have any words that end with O. Again, there's always exceptions, but there is it's pretty rare to see words that end with O. And that is like, if you're coming from Spanish, that's like, what do they end with then? Well, a lot of the time, you can kind of just like cut off the O at the end if you're coming from Spanish, and then that's the word. Other times it's a little more complicated, but let's think of some examples real quick. So, and again, I'm gonna keep it very basic, so you don't have, you don't have to know Spanish to know this. If you were to think of like the word, yeah, totally, that's the quickest way to go there. If you're to think of the word like, I can't think now. I'm taking a sip of my drink. Ooh. I still haven't even gotten to my story. It actually deals with my drink. What was the example? What's a good example? Of a word that ends with O. I think I'm just crazy. I'm drawing a. Yeah, this one. Gato. So gato is the Spanish word for cat. Says gato. But in. I actually had to double check now, but I'm pretty sure. So in Catalan, I'm pretty sure it's just gat, but I'm actually not sure. No, it is. Okay, yeah, I was pretty sure. And actually, yeah, now that I think about it, I actually knew that because there's actually a bar a famous bar in Barcelona called Els Quatre Gats, or Quatre Gats, Els Quatre Gats, which means the four cats. So anyways, so no, that's one example. But there's a whole bunch of other ones that I just can't even think of right now, and I'm not sure why. I think my brain is just drawing a complete blank. Basically any Spanish word that ends with O, you know, would just end in the word that it ends with. Beyond that, in Spanish, like I said, there are a lot of words that don't end with O and instead end with E that are masculine. So like presidente, apartamento is another one. And a lot of words that end with E actually end with E in Spanish because they have a T beforehand, like an N-T combination that is, that words don't really end with, they can't really end with that consonant combination in Spanish. And so with that being said, then in Catalan, a lot of them do end like that. They don't have the E at the end. So parlamento is one, apartamento, presidente. Those are all Spanish words. The equivalent is parlament, apartament, and president in Catalan. So they have a much more like consonant-based sound, and that is something that's very notable when you hear Catalan being spoken. But anyways, so there's a lot of words, especially that end with like T. Especially like names, last names, Catalan last names and such, a lot of the times will end with T. So like, for instance, you guys, especially if you're a little older, you would probably recognize the song, it is not a permanent claim, huh? You'd probably recognize the song Mediterráneo by Joan Manuel Serrat. It's like, you know, the one where he's like, you know, I don't know. It's if you ever listen to like a tourist video from the like 70s, late 70s or 80s about Spain, a lot of the time it'll be like, it'll play that song in the background. It's pretty noticeable and notable and recognizable. In any case, so with that song, the singer is actually singing in Spanish, but he is actually Catalan, and his last name sort of gives that away. His last name is Serrat, and it ends with a T. And like, so a lot of times, if you have words that end in T, they will be Catalan names. And so it's really interesting, because when I learned that, then I was like, wait a minute. That actually, learning the history of Latin America now, a lot of times, especially for like Cuba in particular, if you look at a lot of like last names of people, a good chunk of them, lots of times you'll find, will actually end like that with a T. And the reason why is because to places like Cuba and a little bit of, in Mexico and stuff, but mostly like Cuba, especially because just because of the time periods and how it worked out. A lot of places in Cuba, a lot of last names in Cuba are actually Catalan last names because a lot of Catalonian people actually moved to Cuba in the mid to late 1800s, and when Cuba was still one of the colonies that Spain owned. So that brings us to today to the anecdote I have. The anecdote I have regarding the drink I'm sipping on right now. It's non-alcoholic. I keep saying drink. This makes it sound like it's alcoholic. No, it's a soda. So it's this soda that I've been like that I really like. I've gotten it like very like the past 3 or 4 years. Whenever I go to like a Mexican Mexican food truck to get like tacos and stuff. Lots of times they'll have this. And I like to get it. So it's this soda called Sidral Mundet, which is like, it's like an apple soda, and it is quite good. I like it. Apple soda is really popular in Mexico in general, actually, but I really like it. It's a good one. With that being said, I was like, it had never actually caught my mind. I knew that it didn't really mean anything. It's just like a name in Spanish. And so I was like, wait a minute. So I was like, I never really thought about it, about what the name like came from. And then today I went to the store and got some. You can't buy like the packs of them. They only come in bottles because they're like imported or whatever. But I was like, wait a minute. It ends with a T. I wonder if the name, if it's named after something in Catalan, or is Catalan in one sense or the other. So I was like, I wonder if that's actually the case. I looked it up while I was waiting at the bus stop to go to the store. And actually, yeah, let me look it up again right now, because I am really curious. I looked it up. I was like, so it's a Mexican drink. I know that. I looked at the label before. It's like it's made in Mexico and whatnot. But then today I was like, wait a minute. Let's look up the person who made it. So it was made originally in 1902 by someone named Don Arturo Mundet. And I looked, and sure enough, guess what? He is from from Catalonia, which I found really hilarious. That it just hit me. I was like, wait a minute, it's actually totally a Catalonian person that just moved to Mexico and was a businessman there. And so yeah, so in fact, this is a good example I was talking about. His name in Spanish is Arturo, which is like Arthur. In Catalan, his name in Catalan is Artur Mundet y Carbó. So anyways, I found that really funny. I was like, it never hit me before, but now that I've done a little bit with Catalan and stuff and actually know a tiny bit, it hit me like when I started to think about it, and I was like, wow, I never thought about that before. So anyways, that was my whole anecdote. It took 2 whole episodes for me to get through all that, but I don't know. It's been it's been a large I think I want to do that. It's actually been like, for the past year or so, it's actually been a huge part of like my interest is learning Catalan, like a major part of my interest, to the point where it's like most of the music I listen to on a daily basis is Catalan music and whatnot. And I found that really helps. Who would have thought, right? No. But I really have enjoyed it, and I've been like, the more I've done with it, the more I've liked it, and it's and I feel comfortable in saying that now I actually speak and understand a good bit of Catalan. Certainly not as much as I do Spanish, but more than I do Italian, and I've taken Italian classes, so it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how that works out, that I've actually taken more Italian classes than I have Catalan, because I haven't taken any Catalan classes, but I kind of just been working on teaching myself long enough that and I think also the while it's not necessarily in sound too similar to Spanish, in fact there's a lot of sounds that Catalan has and that Italian has that just don't exist at all in Spanish, like the sh sound. I'm pretty sure actually that every other Romance language besides Spanish has it. Out of the main ones at least, because I know Italian has it, I know French has it with champagne and stuff like that, I know that Portuguese has it, I know that Galician has it even, I know that Catalan has it. I'm pretty sure that Spanish is the only one that doesn't have the sh sound, but in any case, yeah, Catalan has a lot of sounds. It has the j sound, which doesn't exist in Spanish, so it has a lot of sounds that that are quite a bit different than what you hear in Spanish, but a lot of like the word structuring and the words, the etymology of words is the same as it is in Spanish. The vocabulary is the same, even if it's spelled a little different, because of the same roots. Like I said, like for instance, like what's a good example? Like the cat one. It's gato versus gat. So obviously it's similar enough that it kind of helps. But anyways, like it has been quite interesting, and so with that being said, I think it has been pretty easy for me to learn a good bit, although I still wouldn't say I'm fluent at all. But it's certainly been interesting in learning that, and I've really liked it too. And I like the music that I listen to, the Catalan and Valencian music that I've listened to. So I don't know. Hopefully, and I basically am trying to continue with it now, even now that I'm back at school. It's kind of a weird hobby. I don't think most other people, like, when I tell them, they don't really, a lot of people don't get it. They're like, why? They're like, basically like literally, 10 million people, and that's still being a little generous. 10 million people speak this, maybe only like half of that are native speakers of this. And so like, why people are like, why do you want to speak it? It's like basically, so when I've talked before on stream and on video about my friend from Spain that sort of like showed me a lot of cool places and stuff in Spain. And I told her, like, when we first had met and stuff, I was like, I don't really know if, I don't know if you know this language, Valencian. I was like, if you do, like, I'd love for you to help me learn some of that too. I wasn't sure if she would like how she'd react to that, if she'd be like interested or be like offended even. I didn't know. I was like, I don't know, but I might as well ask. So I asked her that, and she was like, you want to learn Valencian? Why? And so in Spanish, she said like some along the lines like para hablar con los las personas, la gente de pueblos or something, which essentially to translate means like, it doesn't translate super well, but basically she was like, why you want to learn Valencian? So you can talk with villagers is what it literally translates to. Obviously that doesn't really make sense, but people from like, basically so you can talk with like, you know, people from the rural towns in the middle interior of Spain that probably, oh my god, I never dealt with the rebels here. People who are like, you know, you'll probably never meet if you're in the US, you know. She's like, why? So you can talk to people that, you know, from the countryside. A country folk, essentially. And I was like, and I found that really surprised. I was taken aback by it, like, not like offended, obviously. I was like, not the person that would be offended by that, but I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. She's just like, you know, why do you care about it? And I was like, I don't know, I just like it. And so it's kind of funny. It's like, she was kind of confused, like, why I would want to go out of my way to learn it. But I don't know, it's just it's sort of a personal passion that I have, I guess. And I realize that's pretty weird, but it is something I'm interested in. So, and it's been very rewarding from what I have done with it. I liked it. So, anyways, that is my my anecdote today. I figured out why the Mexican not orange, apple soda that I drink is called the thing it is. It's because a Catalan dude made it. So, oh yeah, I sent my dudes up there. But yeah, it's actually, so there's quite a few other good examples I was talking about with like a lot of being a lot of Catalan heritage in Cuba. When I was in Spain, one of the classes I took was a literature of the diaspora class, specifically focused on 3 diasporas, and that word is thrown out a lot nowadays to refer to anything like from any type of immigration, really, but that's not really what it means. Diaspora in its literal sense means like a group of people that were forced to leave a place due to extenuating, what's the word? Exterior circumstances out of their control, essentially. So, for instance, like an immigrant from, let's see, what's a good example? An immigrant, lots of the time, in other words, it wouldn't just, it's something that's not caused by just like a lack of jobs or because there's better opportunities elsewhere. Well, and this is the thing, this is a topic of debate. Most people sort of agree that it's, there is no, when you leave a diaspora, to be considered diaspora, has no possible return to the home country. So essentially, for instance, diasporas, classic ones are like the Armenian diaspora, which was caused by like the Armenian genocide. And now people do return of it, but it is still considered diaspora because of the mass movement and the fact that lots of them couldn't go back in their lifetime because they would get killed and stuff, or, you know, it'd be in a inhospitable environment. More recently, well, so then, first, I guess, the oldest one, or one of the most, like, prominent ones that people talk about is the Jewish diaspora. So originally being expelled under Roman rule from Jerusalem, but then after that, then more recently, of course, being recently, you know, with asterisk, this is pretty long ago. But then also with them, with the Spanish Inquisition and the expelling of the Jews and whatnot. So with that stuff like that, and then one of the ones we talked about was the Cuban diaspora that is pretty recent, where a lot of Cubans after the revolution had to leave Cuba, and they now have, you know, a lot of them lived and died in the U.S. and in Spain and in other places, and literally couldn't return because they would be, you know, killed or arrested right when they arrived. Stuff like that is what we sort of studied in this class, and it was really interesting. But I remember that like a bunch of the names in the Cuban diaspora one were actually like, I could tell, I didn't say anything in class because it'd be kind of like weird to make it about something else that it's not about, but a lot of them were Cuban or were Catalan names. So for instance, there was like yeah, sure, a lot of them. What was this that we got a claim on? Anziku over here. All right, so a lot, for instance, one such example is there's this one guy, or is it a girl? I don't remember, whose last name was like Fermat, and that one is definitely Catalan. Then there is like I think it's like the national hero of Cuba from like the Cuban War of Independence from Spain in like 1898 or something. Who actually, yeah, okay, so Jose Marti. Jose is a Spanish name, of course, first name, but Marti, the last name Marti, is so he was like a journalist and poet, and he fought for Cuban independence. I looked it up just now. Jose Marti. And so whenever you see like something where it's like Martin would be the Spanish one, but it doesn't have the N, it's probably Catalan. So Jose Marti, I looked it up one time because I was like, wait a minute, that name definitely sounds like a Catalan name. I looked it up, and his dad was indeed from Valencia. So I was like, yeah, well, that explains it. So anyway, stuff like that is really interesting to me. It's like it gives you a different perspective on stuff like colonial places that we think of as being only Spanish and whatnot. But anyways, I do need to end this episode here though, so thank you guys for watching. Please go ahead and leave a like and subscribe for more. I need to figure out what like big area we want to conquest next, because we're working on this slowly but surely. What other like big areas we want to work on? Like maybe work on the the Gulf of Aden. I'm not too worried about that one yet though. Maybe Ceylon or something. But Malacca's pretty good. Or maybe we just go straight to like frickin' Japan and China. Totally could work. With that being said, we could earn a ton of money that way. With that being said, though, yeah, we'll figure that out. We'll figure out where we want to conquer next. Probably gonna go to war with France soon. Anyways, thanks for watching. Go to leave a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.